Hello everybody and welcome to Lab 10 using virtualization, and in our first part we are going to be installing Hyper-V. Hyper-V is only installable in Windows 10, Windows 11, Pro and Enterprise editions only, and it is installable on Windows Server 2012 and later. So that means you can install it on 2012 R2, 2016, 2019, and 2022. In addition, you will need hardware that supports it, specifically the AMD or Intel VTC processors, and have hyper-threading and virtualization technology enabled in the BIOS. So let's get started. So let's go ahead and start installing Hyper-V. We are on MS-10, so we are going to click on the Control-Alt-Delete quick key, and we are going to change our user to administrator by selecting other and clicking the type text. Then you're going to click password, and you're going to click the arrow to log in. So you can check off step 1. Step 2, we are going to right click on the start button, do not click it, and you're going to go to PowerShell admin right here, and you're going to select that, and you're done with step 2. Step 3 is saying yes to the UAC, so we're going to go ahead and check off steps 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to use PowerShell to install the feature Hyper-V. Go ahead and click the type text to type the command in. The command is basically installing a Windows feature using the install-Windows feature space dash the name of the feature space Hyper-V and space dash include the management tools. And go ahead and hit enter to do the installation. And if you wait a second, you'll see this green screen come up, and it is going to collect data and install Hyper-V. When the installation, that green screen goes ahead and completes, it is going to give you this screen, and you're going to restart the system. You can check off step 4, and let's go ahead and click on the Windows Start button for step 5. And you're going to select the power button here and click restart. If you're presented with a pop-up that says choose other reason, you're going to select other unplanned and then click continue. If you don't get this like I did, you're going to just check off step 6, and we are just going to wait for this to complete. There is going to be a couple of windows that are going to pop up. This is normal. This is just basically installing the features. As you can see, working on features, 80%, and it's just progressing fast. Once the installation is complete, you'll be back to this desktop, and it'll say the time, and you can confirm that it was installed, and that's all you need to do before going on to step 2. And now we're on part 2 of Lab 12, which is configuring the virtual machine within Hyper-V. So we are still on MS-10, and we can click the quick link to press Control-Alt-Delete. We already have our admin username there, so we just need to click on the type text for password, and we're going to click on the arrow. Step 1, you're done. And step 2 is we're going to go into Server Manager. There's multiple ways you could do this. You could click on the magnifying glass here and use the type text to type Server Manager. It'll pop up. Or you could click the taskbar icon here and pull up Server Manager. Once Server Manager's up, you can go ahead and click on step 2 to complete it. And then step 3, we're going to click on Tools up here and go to Hyper-V Manager. Now, you're going to select MS-10 here in the Hyper-V Manager window on the left-hand pane. That is step 4, and we're going to go to the Actions menu in the right-hand pane, and we are going to click on New. And you can see that you have 3 different options here: virtual machine, hard disk, and floppy disk. So the question in step 5 is, what is the option below virtual machine? And that is hard disk. So we're going to put hard disk here and select score, and you can check off step 5. So now you're going to select virtual machine from this action menu to create the new virtual machine. And we are prompted with the virtual machine wizard. On the Before You Begin page, we're going to click Next. And for the name of the virtual machine, we are going to click on our type text to call it MyLab VM. And you're going to click Next. You're done with step 8. We're on step 9. So we're going to select Generation 1 virtual machine. So what does this do? What's different between this and a Generation 2? Well, Generation 1 supports 32 and 64-bit operating systems. Generation 2 does not, and it's newer. It also needs something called UEFI-based firmware so that it could run the latest operating systems. And you're going to click Next. So you do have a question. Does Generation 2 support 32-bit operating systems? And the answer is no. You can type it in any case and click Score. It is not case sensitive. Click Next. Check off step 9, and then you can click Next and move on. So we skipped it. We already passed the generation page. Now we're going to look at the startup memory. We're going to make sure that this is 1024 megabytes, and that's fine. We can go ahead. We can always allocate more if we need to. Do not select dynamic memory. It'll start using up the memory that's available. When we assign this caps it at that level. Click Next and select Next on the configuring network. We're not going to connect it to a network yet. We are on step 13, which is where we're going to enter 90 for the size. And so we're going to take this 127 out, and we're going to put 90. You could type it, or you could use the type text, and it's there. Now we're going to leave everything alone, and we're going to click Next, and we're going to install an operating system later. We are done with steps 13 and 14. So now you're asked a question here on this page, and your answer is on this page. If you wanted to install an operating system using a bootable CD/DVD-ROM with an image file, what extension does the image need to be? What extension does the file need to be? So if you click on this, it'll turn it from gray to dark so you can read it. It is an ISO file. So you can type in ISO here and click Score. Make sure that you select Install an operating system later if you've changed it. Click Next, and then we can click Finish. Okay, so now we have the virtual machine MyLab set. Let's go ahead and click Confirm our work and go on to the next step. Okay, so we're in our third part of our lab, installing an operating system on the virtual machine we just created in the previous lab. So let's go ahead, previous step of this lab. So in Hyper-V Manager, we're going to right-click on MyLab and select Settings. There you go. And that is step 1. In the hardware section under DVD drive, under IDE controller 1, which is right here, and we're going to select physical disk D. In step 4, all you have to do is click on the link for the server operating system here, and it will mount it automatically. You'll see a pop-up, and there it is. It's mounted the DVD, and we could check off step 4. In Hyper-V Manager, once we've done this, you can select OK. There we go. And now we can select, right-click, and then select Connect. You are done with step 5, and then you can click on Start for step 6. You can move it up by pressing Control-Alt, and then you can press back in. So now we are on our Windows setup screen for Server 2019. Let's go ahead and select Next and click Install Now. You can check off steps 7 and 8. And when you get the Activate Windows screen, you can click on I do not have a product key. You can check off step 9. On step 10, you want to select Windows Server 2019 Standard Desktop Experience, which is right here. Do not click on Standard. It will install the core, which does not have a graphical user interface, a GUI. Desktop Experience does. So make sure to select Windows Server 2019 Standard Desktop Experience and click Next. You will be asked to accept the license terms or the EULA agreement. You do have to scroll all the way down and then click Accept and then Next. Since we're not upgrading and we're doing a clean install of Windows, we are going to select Custom Install Advanced and select and check off step 12. On the Where do you want to install Windows screen, we are going to select Next because we already have our Drive 0 unallocated space selected. And you can check off step 13. Now it's going to the installing Windows screen where you will be installing Windows, and it will take about 5 to 10 minutes on this virtual machine. I am going to pause the video until we get to step 14. So once it's done all the checks, it is going to reboot the system, and and you can press the Restart Now button in order for it to continue. Do not press any key to boot from this CD. It will start the reinstallation. It will start the installation process again, and start you back at square one. This spinning will happen. You'll see a Windows icon appear, and it'll go into asking you to create the administrator account or set the password for the administrator account. And now you'll be presented with this customized settings window. Your cursor will be placed in the first password box. You're going to click on the type text so that it will put this in there. You can confirm this by clicking on the C icon or the little I, and you can see that the password matches. And then you can retype the password by clicking in the and re-enter password field, and then click the type text to make sure it matches and click the little I or the C password button. You are done with step 14. If you do not see your next window, you can move your virtual machine up a little bit more, and you could hit enter to proceed. You can also maximize it so that you can click on the finish button if you so choose, and you are done with step 14. You can confirm that you've created the new virtual machine installation, and the installation is Windows Server 2019. You can go ahead and check this off, and we will go on to the next step, where we will. And welcome to our fourth part of this lab, which is configuring virtual networking switches. So let's go ahead and start. We are going to switch back to our MS-10 environment. You can minimize this window that you have your virtual machine in, and we're going to go to enable the Ethernet adapter on our resource page. So where is this? This is right on the resource page where we have internal. And we're going to switch back, and we need to put this to VLAN servers. So let's switch this resource over on internal to VLAN servers, and then you can switch back to the instructions page. You are done with steps 1, 2, and 3. In Hyper-V Manager, you're going to select the Virtual Switch Manager under the Actions page. So this is your actions in the right-hand pane, and you're going to click on Virtual Switch Man, which is Virtual Switch Manager. So what is the first option for the virtual switch type? And that is external. So we're going to type external in here and click score and go on to step 6. We want to select private, and then you're going to click on the button for create virtual switch and check off step 6. In the name field, we're going to erase the name and enter the text private lab switch, and you could use the type text to do that. To create an external switch, select virtual switch in the actions page. But before we do step 8, make sure that you click OK before going on. This will bring you back to this page, and now we want to select external switch in the virtual manager. So we're going to go back in to virtual manager and click on external to create so you're done with steps 8, and you're going to go on to step 9 after you click on create virtual switch. We're going to enter again. We're going to go back into the type the name field, and we're going to erase it and enter the type text information, which is external lab switch in the name field, and we're going to click next, and then we're going to, in the connection type area right here, we're going to make sure that the Microsoft Hyper-V network adapter is selected from the dropdown, which it is. Make sure it is this one, not number 4. And then we are going to click OK and then yes at this box. It will go ahead and apply the network changes. And if you get that prompt, it just means that you did not select a step. And then now we are complete with this part of the lab, and you can check your work and go on to the next part. Hi everybody, and we're at the final part of our lab 12 using virtualization. So let's get started before we head on to the comprehensive questions. So we're on the MS-10 virtual our lab environment, and we're going to right click on the start button, and we're going to go back into Windows PowerShell. And if you get the UAC, you're going to select next, and you are completing steps 1 and 2. And now we want to enter ipconfig in the PowerShell window. You can click the type text or type it in, and then hit enter. Okay, now you're displaying the IP. We want to look for the IPv4 address for our lab. It will start our external lab switch, and it will start with 10.1. So we're looking for a 10.1. So our external lab switch right here, and we have 10.1.16.13. Let's type this in. And click on and check off step 4. Now we are going to, on the MS-10 virtual machine in Hyper-V, we're going to right click on My Lab in our virtual machine columns and go to Settings. You can check off step 5, and we want to go down to where it says Network Adapter. You can check off step 6, and now we want to use this drop down arrow and switch it over to the private lab switch. And then we're going to click OK. We are going to check off steps 7 and 8. And we want to switch into the virtual machine. Now, when you double click on it and you're going to press Ctrl-Alt-Delete, you need to use the action menu within the virtual machine connection. Pressing Ctrl-Alt-Delete on your keyboard will only affect the MS-10, not the MyLab VM. Select check off step 10, and now we're on step 11. If the administrator is not highlighted, select other user. I have administrator. I'm going to just click on the type text and click next. You may need to resize your window. You can maximize it to get the start menu here. But we are going to right click within this lab, and we're going to go to Network Connections. That is step 12. And then we're going to select Change Adapter Options. We are going to right click on the Ethernet adapter and go to Properties. We are on step 14, and now we're going to double click on the TCP/IPv4 section right there. We're going to replace this information with the information that is in our instructions. So we're going to use the following IP address. We're going to select that radio button, and then you can use the type text to enter that information. And then we're going to select Subnet Mask, and if it does not work, you can manually change the information to match. Now we're going to put our default gateway in. And then we're going to enter our preferred DNS server from the type text. Once this information matches everything on the instructions, you can check off step 16, and then we're going to click OK, and then OK again. We can close all open windows at this point. And I'm going to right click on our Start menu button and go to PowerShell Admin for step 18. Now we're going to enter this following ping command. Now, the ping should fail, and this destination host unreachable means that it will fail because it can't reach it. And we're going to leave this PowerShell window open and go back to the MS-10 virtual machine. Now, in the Hyper-V, which we are in Hyper-V Manager right now, we are going to right-click on My Lab and select Settings. You can check off step 21. And then we're going to go back to Network Adapters and check off step 22. We're going to change the virtual switch to the external lab by clicking the drop down arrow and selecting external lab. We're going to click OK. And then we're going to go back into our MS-10 lab. If you have it open, you'll see it's right here on the bottom. If you've minimized it, if you have to, you can double click on the MyLab VM again. Now we're going to can check off step 25 and go to step 26 where we're entering another ping command. And we are going to hit enter. Now it has been successful. So now we're going to close all windows and we can check our work. And now you can proceed to the comprehensive questions. Thank you for watching.